You think the worst thing a nosy neighbor can do is complain about your lawn? Try having the HOA president roll up with the sheriff. Point at your perfectly legal workshop like it's a crack den. And declare war on your right to exist on your own damn land. What happened next didn't just humble Vanessa Whitaker, it turned her into the punchline of every neighborhood barbecue from here to Denver. The foothills outside Boulder, Colorado, look like the kind of place people move to for peace. Wide skies, mountain views, kids on bikes. That whole postcard fantasy. But step inside Evergreen Ridge and the vibe shifts. Suddenly there are rules for everything, approved shutter colors. Grass height measured with a ruler. Trash cans hidden like state secrets. And presiding over this little fiefdom was Vanessa Whitaker, mid-50s. Bleach blonde bob that never moved in the wind. Pastel cardigans. And a smile so fake it could curdle milk. She ran the HOA like it was her personal kingdom. And everyone else was just lucky to live in it. I'm Ryan Harlan. 51. Former land use attorney who got tired of courtroom drama and bought a 5-acre legacy parcel that backs right up to the subdivision. My place predates their fancy gates by 15 years. I kept to myself. Fixed up the old barn. Built a simple workshop for woodworking. And tried to enjoy the quiet. Until the Tuesday afternoon when 2 sheriff's cruisers crunched up my gravel drive and Vanessa stepped out like she was auditioning for a true crime documentary. She planted her hands on her hips. Oversized sunglasses perched on her head. And pointed dramatically toward my workshop. Officer. There it is. That unpermitted structure. It's visible from the community trail and it's destroying our aesthetic harmony. Property values are going to tank. The deputy looked tired already. Mr. Harlan? We got a complaint about an illegal build. I wiped sawdust off my hands and walked over. Keeping my voice even. That's a workshop I built myself. On my own land. Plans were filed with the county. Everything's permitted. Vanessa sniffed. You're still within Evergreen Ridge jurisdiction. The covenants are very clear, no structures without board approval. I almost laughed. Almost. Instead I pulled the folder I'd started keeping in my truck the moment I realized what kind of woman she was. Vanessa. Let me save us all some time. My parcel was recorded in 1998. Your HOA was formed in 2011. The boundary stops at the fire road, almost a mile south of my fence line. This isn't your kingdom. It's my mountain. The deputy raised an eyebrow. Vanessa's perfectly lined lips pressed into a thin line. She leaned in as I handed over the deed. Survey. And county plat map. Her face went from smug to sour in about 3 seconds flat. The kind of sour that happens when someone sucks on a lemon while realizing they just called the cops on a man who actually owns the ground they're standing on. The deputy scanned the papers. Nodded. And handed them back. Everything checks out. This property isn't under HOA jurisdiction. Ma'am. Vanessa's voice went up an octave. But the board reviewed this. The trail system benefits him. He's enjoying our amenities. Ma'am. Enjoying a view isn't the same as signing your covenants, the deputy said. Already heading back to his cruiser. I looked her dead in the eye. Vanessa. Step foot on my land again without permission and I'll have you trespassed so fast your little clipboard will spin. Rules are rules, right? She spun on her heel. Faced the color of a ripe tomato. And stormed back to her white Lexus. Tires spun in the gravel like a teenager throwing a tantrum. The deputy gave me a sympathetic nod. Sorry for the waste of time. Mr. Harlan. Have a good one. I watched her taillights disappear and felt that familiar old attorney instinct kick in. Women like Vanessa never quit after one loss. They doubled down. 2 days later, a certified letter was taped to my gate. Cream-colored envelope. Embossed HOA logo that looked like it belonged on a country club. Inside, a demand for back dues totaling $19,400 for shared community infrastructure, trail maintenance, and fire mitigation benefits going back 2 years. I actually laughed out loud in my kitchen. Then I sat down at my computer and started pulling every public record I could find. Their own filings showed the boundaries stopped exactly where I said. No overlap. No easement. Nothing. They were trying to tax me for breathing the same air. I drafted a polite but ironclad cease and desist. Copied the county attorney and the state HOA oversight board. And sent it certified. Most people would have backed off. Vanessa? She escalated. First came the independent inspector who somehow wandered across my fence line with a clipboard and a camera, snapping pictures of my barn. I walked up behind him quietly. Lost? He jumped. Just doing a routine code review for the association. They said this was part of the extended oversight area. I pointed at the barbed wire he'd clearly stepped over. This is private property. You're trespassing. Leave. He backed away fast. I'll report back to the client. I reported his firm to the state licensing board that same night with photos and GPS timestamps. They dropped the HOA as a client within 48 hours. But Vanessa was just getting creative. A week later I came home from town and found 3 orange survey flags stuck in my south pasture. Then came the anonymous tip to the fire department about hazardous materials stored unsafely. 2 fire inspectors and another deputy showed up with lights flashing. The lead inspector looked apologetic. Mr. Harlan, we have to check out any credible report of fire risk. I crossed my arms. You'll need a warrant for that. And while we're waiting, you might want to review the security footage I've got of 2 Evergreen Ridge board members crossing my fence 3 nights ago carrying what looked like oily rags and old fuel cans. The silence that dropped was beautiful. One inspector actually took a half step back. I handed over the flash drive. Time-stamped. Night vision. Clear as day. They placed flammable material near my fence. Took pictures. Then left. Your anonymous tip was a setup. By the next morning the sheriff's department had opened a full investigation. Word travels fast in a small foothills town. Residents started whispering. A local reporter called. Then another. The county paper ran the headline, HOA board accused of planting evidence on neighbor's land. Vanessa tried the usual spin at an emergency board meeting. It was a misunderstanding. Volunteers were simply cleaning up debris that accidentally crossed the property line. But the video leaked to the neighborhood Facebook group, 400+ comments calling her out. Screenshots of her past fines for things like offensive political yard signs and excessive holiday lights. I wasn't done watching. I spent nights digging through every bylaw, amendment, and financial report I could get my hands on. Tucked in the governance section was pure gold. Any board member under criminal investigation for property or safety violations gets suspended. If more than 3 are suspended simultaneously, the entire board dissolves and triggers an emergency election open to any nearby property owner. Vanessa and 4 of her loyal board members were now under investigation. I filed my petition to run in the emergency election. Her attorney tried to block it. Their own lawyer eventually admitted in writing that my candidacy was valid under their rules. The vote was held in the clubhouse on a sunny Thursday evening. I showed up in jeans and work boots. Vanessa was absent, advised to lay low. I stood by the snack table and kept it short. I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted to be left alone. But this HOA stopped protecting property values a long time ago. It became a weapon. I'm here to fix that. Term limits. Real audits. No more using dues as a personal piggy bank. They voted by secret ballot. I won 68% of the vote. 2 days later I was sworn in as interim chair. First order of business, freeze all discretionary spending. Second, hire an independent forensic auditor. Third, file to officially redraw the HOA boundary to match the legal plats. What the audit uncovered was almost comical in its greed. Vanessa had funneled over $187,000 through a shell company for community enhancement projects that never existed. The money paid for her daughter's wedding in Aspen, a new deck on her house, billed as clubhouse improvements, and several board retreats in Vail that somehow only she attended. When the grand jury got the full package, including the planted evidence, the falsified reports, and the financial trail, Vanessa was arrested at her favorite day spa. Mugshot showed her in a robe with cucumber slices still stuck to her face. The photo went viral in the local groups. Poetic justice has never looked so well moisturized. The trial was swift. 8 days of testimony, including mine. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty on embezzlement, conspiracy to commit property damage, filing false reports, and abuse of fiduciary duty. 12 years. The new board, elected after the dust settled, voted to phase out mandatory membership over 2 years, refund illegal assessments, and hand basic maintenance to the county residents through actual block parties. No more fear of $500 fines for the wrong shade of beige. I stepped down after 6 months. Never wanted the job. Just wanted the madness to stop. My final contribution was a big oak sign at the end of my driveway. Private property, not part of Evergreen Ridge HOA. Trespassers will be educated. Smaller letters below, land owned by someone who reads the fine print. Proceed at your own risk. 3 months later. Life is quiet again. I'm back to woodworking. The dogs are happy. And the only drama is whether the deer will eat my tomatoes. Sometimes young couples walking the trail stop and ask about the sign. I just smile and say, I didn't start the fight. I finished it. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments: when an HOA president weaponizes rules, plants evidence, and steals from her own neighbors, all while preaching community harmony, is she still just doing her job? Or is she exactly the kind of neighborhood tyrant we all secretly hope gets exposed? Who is really in the wrong here, and would you have had the patience to wait and destroy her legally? Or would you have snapped sooner? Drop your verdict below. And if you've got your own HOA horror story, I'm listening.